And we're back. It's Phil and Friends, sponsored by the Plug Report. What's up, everybody? It's me, Phil, and I'm back in the studio right in the heart of Lamert Park. What's going on, everybody? I got my friend in the studio today, Andrea Walker Williamson. How are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. How you been doing?
I can't complain. Just blessed.
Blessed?
Yes.
Well, that's good. Well, we have a fabulous show today. We're talking with Miss Andrea. I'm trying to get used to the new name. I just know about Andrea Walker.
Walker Williamson. I know, right?
But when you get famous, you got to switch it up.
Yeah, right.
Mama, who is Jesus?
Yes.
She's a publisher. Tell everybody about yourself.
I was a social worker on Skid Row working with chronically homeless people. And I kind of started to hit a wall in that area because I still wasn't working on the creative part of me, and I felt like I was helping people, but I could also help people in a different way. So I wanted to kind of use those creative juices. So I started to kind of pray about it, and I was asking God to find a way for me to be able to use my art and to be able to share at least some parts of it with other people. And the first book, which is Mama, Who is Jesus, it was inspired by my 6-year-old and some of the questions that he had after Sunday school. And once I started writing, I was like, wow, this is something, Right. But it was for a younger age group, which wasn't my initial focus to work with. But I just said, I'm going to just kind of do what God says do with it. So instead of finding a major publisher, I decided to do my own thing and start Create Noise and initially launch it as a publishing company and use it for edutainment to create a learning environment. And also use the visual arts and just whatever type of art to help people to kind of move forward with that. And that's what gave birth to Mama, Who is Jesus.
Well, we're talking today with Andrea Walker Williamson about her first book. Is that your first book?
Yes, it is.
With Create Noise Publishing.
Yes.
See, I know my stuff. You do your research. About Mama, Who is Jesus. This is her first published book. You should go check it out. Tell us people where they can look at it online right now as as they're listening to us. So
it's anywhere online. So Amazon, Barnes & Nobles are the main focal points, but you could also get it here at the SON bookstore in Lamert Park. You could also make a purchase at the Simply Wholesome store or in any of the Christian bookstores here locally in Los Angeles.
Oh, good. So you're right off of Crenshaw, too, at the West Angeles bookstore?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Mama, Who is Jesus? And she also has another book entitled Moments in Time, Poems of Grief and Healing.
That's correct.
Yeah, so that's another book. We're going to talk about that later. So who is Jesus to you? Mama, who is Jesus? So how do you explain that to a kid, and how do you explain that to other people who are listening today?
Well, you know what? I learned that you keep it simple. We complicate things with our definition of it, but I kind of set a foundation. I leave it up to you to decide because it's based on relationship. Jesus is based on your relationship.
Right.
So I could never tell him who he is to me, but I know who he is based on my relationship. So he's different to everybody based on their relationship. But one of the quotes that I have in the book is when my son asked me, how could you really believe in something that you don't see? And I tell, and in the quote, it basically states that Jesus is like the wind. You know it's there, but you just don't see it.
Right.
And that's really what the form of Jesus is, because he's a spirit, but he's also a very physical form. And everything that's good in you comes from him because it's already there, prior to you being born.
Right. Did your mother teach you about Jesus?
She did, but it was basically my grandmother who embedded.
Grandmother, who is Jesus? That's who really was.
Basically.
Mama, who is Jesus? Call us up at 323-293-3375. Again, the number is 323-293-3375. We're talking to Dre. I'm going to call her Drea because that's what I know her from school.
Yeah.
Andrea Walker Williamson, the author of 2 books, Mama, Who is Jesus? Do you have a Spanish version? Jesus.
I do have a Spanish
version. Donde? Jesus. I don't even speak Spanish. I don't know.
I really couldn't tell you how to say it in Espanol, but it's
But you should do that. You said it is there.
It's already there. It's on Kindle. It's on iBooks.
What other languages do you have? Because I have a multicultural audience.
Right now, it's just English and Espanol, but we're working on a Korean version.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Send it to North Korea. Send it to
oh my God.
Kim Jong-un, whatever his name.
I'm going to send it to them. They need
Send it to Dennis Rodman so he can. Well, let me ask you this. What So faith to you. So we're gonna switch the conversation a little bit because
Okay.
Mama Who's Jesus is a very, it's a deep topic. It's not,
Right.
for kids it might be surface. For adults, get a little deep.
Right.
What is your spiritual base? And of course, you're practicing Christian. How has faith changed your life?
Well, you know what? The interesting thing is that I used to believe that bad things don't happen to good people, but I learned that bad things happen to everybody.
They do.
Right? Yeah. So I used to think that I did something wrong when something used to happen to me. So I used to always ask God, why is this happening? As if it's supposed to happen to somebody else because somehow I might be a better person. But I learned that when I used to, so everything changed for me when I went to the altar one day. And then I came back altered. You get what I'm saying?
Wow.
So I went to the ALTAR and I became ALTERED.
Yeah.
And it was because my heart was different. And the foundation was there, but I started to pray different. And for me, that's really the opening because your prayer life is a part of your spiritual life.
Right.
So if if your words are saying something that your heart doesn't openly feel, then it's not going to line up.
Right.
You're not going to receive the message correctly. So my life changed once I opened my heart up enough to let him in, because
at what point was this for you? Like at what age, was it recently or has it always?
You know what? I've always had that foundation, but it was actually when I was working on Mama Who is Jesus and I did my first event at this expo. And it was the night of the expo, and I felt it. It felt like it was more like a Christian conference rather than an expo for me because the messages kept coming to me, and I just kept getting confirmation. I just felt like, because God uses people, right?
He does.
But the thing is that you feel like you're going to know where your support comes from.
Right.
But the thing is that once you open up your heart, you gonna just get regular people,
right.
just regular angels on earth. And for me, that's what happened.
Right.
And I was talking to God in my car, and I remember I was in my car for hours just talking to him, and that was the first time that I took that amount of time to go in depth with God, because I used to have a problem and I'll go to God and then I'll still give it to people to help me with, and I used to still.
Okay, so explain it again. So you would have a problem, and you would talk to God about it.
I would talk to God, but it was like I was limited in my thinking and with what I was saying. It was very limited, and I would still call people. I was calling my best friend. I was calling this person.
Right.
I was calling, and I was
instead of giving it to him and letting it go.
Right, because I didn't know how to just let it go and let him do his work. So once I sat in my car and I really just gave it all to him, and I kind of made this proposal with him that once you allow me to really open up my thinking for this and just really creatively put everything out into my pen, I'm gonna just do your will.
Right.
I'm not gonna do what I want to do no more. I'm gonna just really focus on what you want me to do, because I see it's out of my control. It's out of my hands. It's everything that I didn't really want to do that was uncomfortable is what he has me doing.
Right.
And it was crazy because that ended up being my last weekend with my husband, who was my best friend. But that night allowed me to go openly talk to him about basically everything that I've been doing part-time to make it a full-time thing. Right. So we set goals, for Create Noise. And that was the first time I really even thought to do that. But him being like the business side of everything, that's what he knows is numbers. So we were able to kind of plug numbers in this, that, and the third. And that was a Saturday, and Monday his grandmother passed. Wow. And we were working on that. And I remember when he came, because he went to go work out and talk to his parents about it. When he came back in the house, he had like this bad attitude, and he threw my keys, and it just became like a big stir in the house. Early in the morning, I'm supposed to be getting the kids ready for school, and I'm arguing with him, and it was in the midst of my argument that I really saw God showed me his heart, and I just saw myself hollering at him, and I was like, he's hurting. Right. And that was it. It gave me an opportunity to really say some things that I probably wouldn't have had the ability to say. And I just told him, like, you know what, you don't really deal with stuff, and this is what's happening right now. So I'm gonna allow you to deal with whatever you need to deal with, and just know I'm here, and I'm not gonna judge you, but I'm not gonna argue with you either.
And we're gonna talk about your husband later on,
right?
But call us up at 323, and people say I say the number way too fast. 323-293-3375. Again, that number is 323-293-3375. You said he didn't deal with stuff, and a lot of people don't deal with their inner issues, and it's important for people to deal with things as they come, but it's a lot of times. Shout out to one of my friends, AJ, who gave me a great topic. Black men especially dealing with things, and we need to learn how to deal with things as they come, right? Or what do you suggest for people who are dealing with things and not dealing with them at that moment?
You know what? It's in our community, we don't tap into services or support,
right?
And usually, it's very uncomfortable for people to open up to at least say that they need help, no matter what state that they're in. And when you see people that have anxiety, all those things can lead to something so much greater if you don't deal with it, what that first problem is. And that's what I realized too, is that the closer you get to your goal, the more you're going to be tampered with, the more you're going to have to deal with.
You're going to be dealing with a lot of things, and so you have to be able to deal with those.
Right. And the crazy thing is that we'll run before we'll fight, or we'll give it to God, thinking that I'm gonna sit here and let God do His thing. But no, God is gonna empower you to do what you're supposed to do. Right. It's your job, because He said, "I'll bless you based on what you're gonna do next." And He'll give you a message, but you might talk to somebody who never seen that come to pass, and they're gonna talk you out of that before you even get your foot out the door.
Right. So it's important for us to go through things so we can learn how to grow.
That's right.
And learn how to fight those battles and deal with them as they come along. Because you know what? Your maturation level determines, you have to go through things so you can grow. You can't help nobody if you don't go through nothing.
Exactly.
Grow through anything, as they would say.
Yeah.
So let's move on, because I know you mentioned your husband. Mm-hmm. So that day was pivotal for him when he lost his grandmother, right? And you saw he was hurting. So tell us, take us into that moment when you had to experience the loss of him.
Okay.
And let's take a break right quick, and we're gonna compose ourselves and turn the air on, because I'm burning up. And so we'll be right back. Okay. And we are back. Morris Media Live Radio. It's me, Phil, with Phil and Friends, sponsored by the Plug Report. I cannot talk today. I'm here with my friend Andrea Walker Williamson. And we're talking about, right now, we'll shift the conversation. We're talking about grief and how people deal with things. And she has a book out, Moments in Time. And they can buy this on Amazon as well, right?
Yes.
So it talks about the poems and grief of healing. So let's talk about your husband. And then we're going to go to one of these poems that you wrote. Let's talk about what happened to you so people will know that.
Okay. The
things that you've been dealing with.
Yeah, so that Monday we were dealing with the death of his grandmother. And it's interesting because once I got to work, he talked to me about everything that he was feeling my whole drive to work. And once I really kind of got settled in, I had like a clear understanding of what the plans were. And Tuesday morning I talked to him all the way up until 15 minutes before he was about to leave. And then next thing you know, Centinela Hospital was calling me.
Wow.
And they also called his mom, who's out of state. So I was like, it must be really something wrong, Right. So something just said, go. Just go. Mm-hmm. And so we were actually real short at work. None of the supervisors could be found. I was just leaving voicemails with HR, and I was just like, something is going on at home. And I got up to the hospital, and they were telling me I had to basically wait. So once they got me in the room, it seemed like the whole staff that worked there. I followed them in. Okay. Yeah, I followed them in. And that's when they were trying to make me understand that he was no longer here. But he kept using that word, and I was like, what do you mean? You just told me.
He kept saying no longer here.
Yeah, he kept saying he was no longer here. So I'm like, I need to go upstairs because you just told me that he was here.
Right.
So
not knowing exactly what he was saying.
Right. But I think once I really looked around the room, and I realized like I'm in like a triage room or something. I'm like, they trying to really tell me something, and it was just in my spirit that it was bad. So that's when I started to really ask some questions, and they told me that he was in a automotive accident on his way to work, and that he died at the scene.
Wow.
And I was just like, that's not possible. That is not possible. And so I started trying to call his phone. The reality
it
still
just
wasn't
didn't settle
there.
in for you.
Yeah. And I guess once I really got into the room where he was, the officers were still there. Like, they were there waiting for me. And everything that they were saying, I really couldn't understand what they were saying. And it was still really cloudy for me. But once I got to him, he was still warm. And that's,
wow.
yeah, it really messed my head up.
So let you see him and everything?
Yeah, but he was still physically the same, you know. So he had really no scar. He had like a little scar on his elbow. He was on a motorcycle.
And what, did he fell or something and hit his head? Or?
Well, you know what, the impact, some lady came across the intersection and struck him dead on.
And he was on a motorcycle. For people who don't know,
right?
He was a motorcycle driver,
right?
And that's.
Yeah, and I guess he didn't see her coming.
Wow. And
it was in that traffic right up Century, he was the last one in that lane, you know. And the only thing I saw is that he must have really hit his head, because the helmet, the glass from the helmet actually was broken, but half of it was still there, so it was still intact. And he only had like a scratch on his chin and on his elbow, so I was like, he's still alive, you know. So it really messed me up, and I stayed there until they basically was telling me I had to leave.
Wow.
And I kind of almost got myself arrested, because I guess when the mortuary people were there, or the you know,
take his body.
Yeah. And I was like, no.
Right.
And then they had to check his belongings and all that. And I was like, no, you know. And it just became such a hard thing to swallow.
It was a surreal experience.
Right.
As they would say,
it was very.
And just let people know how old you guys, because we're not old. We're around the same age.
I'm 36 years old. He was 36 when he died.
Yeah, so that's fairly young, and you don't expect anything like that to happen.
No, and we had a 2-year-old at home. And
so how many kids do you have? Just to let people know.
We have a total of 4 kids.
4 kids. So imagine you losing your husband, and you have 4 kids, and you're 36 years old. That is a crazy experience.
Oh, yeah, because the future, you figure it out with this person, and now that
it's gone.
It's gone, yeah.
So at that moment, what did you do? Did you struggle with your faith? Did you have a moment where, did you say, where is Jesus at that moment?
No, because actually, I felt like all I could do was talk to God, because nobody else understood. And it's crazy, because I relived that day for like the whole the next 6 months of my life. And that's when I told you I went to the altar, and it altered me, because I had to pray different. I prayed from really in my soul. And before I was praying with what I thought was the right way to come to him, but I was still giving other people too much credit. Right. You know, and thought that I had some control, when I realized I didn't have any control.
Call us up at 323-293-3375. Again, the number is 323-293-3375. How did you explain this to your children?
That was actually the hardest. You know what? When everything was happening and my mom was there, she wanted to talk to the kids. I just told her, I know I have to. I didn't want nobody else to talk to.
But you.
Right. So they all got into my car. It was crazy. I had all these family members getting into my little car, and we squeezing in, and they just wanted to be there with me. But I was like, I'm going to drive. I'm going to go. And it was hard, because each one went to a different school. And, you know, I picked up the baby last, and everybody was already all tore up by the time we got him, and he's like, what's wrong, what's happening, you know. And it was like I remember my oldest son Gabriel, he kept saying, we didn't want him to have a motorcycle anyway. We could have controlled this, we could have stopped this. And I just remember,
how old is he?
He's 15 now.
Okay. How old are you? What's the age ranges of your kids?
15, 7, 10, and 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I just remember telling him that we have no power over what happens when it's something like that, and it's possible that he could have died in the car still if it was his time. Right. So we have no control over what that date is for someone, because the only thing that I did know is it was no way that everything could have perfectly lined up for that to happen at that exact time.
I think it's amazing because people, they may not know you, and some people do. I think it's amazing the kind of strength and resilience that you have, because I saw you right after that at Denny's. It was during Christmas time, and it was a Black for Dollars.
Right, Recycling Black Dollars.
And I saw her at this event, and I was like, wow. I mean, I didn't expect her to be like normal, because I would have been, people handle loss different.
Right.
And they handle grief different. And it's about how but anyway, I saw you there, and I was like, wow, you had everything together.
Oh,
and
I
you couldn't
appreciate
tell.
it. I appreciate it. You know what? I still deal with it every day. I don't forget about it at all. And people used to, they used to give their condolences and then apologize because they felt like it was a reminder. And it's like, no, every day is a reminder. Right. But every day I have to talk to God, and I still have to deal with it. And I'm not suppressing it anymore. Right. But before, if you would have caught me on one of those, you would have saw. You'd have been like, I don't think that's her.
Right. You've just been.
Yeah, but it was
off days.
Right, yeah. But you know what? It was really my kids, because I was thinking, how can I be who they deserve?
Right.
Because I felt like they deserve a mom who's present, right? And I'm like, it's no way God would have blessed me with them, and it would have been a mistake. Right. So that's what I was praying, that I could still be a full mom for them. And it was my daughter really who would tell me, like, Mom, we need you to cook. We don't want Granny to cook today. Right. We want,
because Granny couldn't cook.
But sometimes she can't.
Granny, you can't cook.
No. We don't want them chili beans. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and she would like make me present. She would say, "You've been in the room all day, but I want to see you get up." And it would just be like, dang, I was so sad that she was sad because of me. You know. Yeah. So I would ask God to heal our hearts, to work on our hearts, and to help it to be less painful, because I used to get striking pains, and nobody could understand why, but I knew.
What would be the
why.
pains? What was?
It was depression. It was me not dealing with it. It was,
and that was my question for you. Did you ever go through depression? I mean, I guess you did.
Oh yeah. You know what? It was so much stuff that came at me when it happened. So many people wanted things. And so many people were there for the wrong reason.
Let's talk about that. Because, I mean, somebody's listening that is probably going through the same thing.
I'm sure.
And the funny part about it is, at this age, people die.
Right.
And I think it's a realization of that it's just a part of life.
That's
and
true.
It happens. So what do you tell somebody? We'll go back to depression. But what do you say to that person that's listening? I just lost my husband. I just lost my wife. What do I do at this moment in my life? Because I don't know what to do. Right. How do I deal with this? Because, the thing about loss is it may not be a death, but it may be something.
Right.
It may be a job. It may be something like we talked about earlier about dealing with things.
It could be a divorce.
It could be a divorce. And that's a death. They say divorce is like death.
Yeah, because you're mourning the loss of something.
Right.
Just period.
Just period.
Right. And it's more than just grief. That's why we call it grief and loss, because when you lose something, you could have a social loss. Everything associated to my husband, I almost basically lost. Yeah, so it definitely is a loss of a lot of things, especially in our society that's just get up and go and move on and don't handle it, just go to the next thing. But I want to, the whole reason why I even shared the book and wanted to open up about it, and I have this, it's called Grieving Out Loud. It's a campaign that I've started, and every around the holidays, around the end of October, is when I want to basically come together and we have like a whole open discussion just basically about it for the community, because we don't tap in.
And the funny part of that, you say that a lot. They say a lot of people died during the times of Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Right. And he died right before Christmas.
Yeah. So that's weird that.
It is. But you are not alone, because I felt real alone. And that's what I want to tell people is you are not, they didn't create this problem when it started with you.
Right.
It's always somebody who's going through something a lot more devastating, and they are here. The only way that you can liberate yourself is to gain some type of peace. Even if you don't believe in God, I hope you believe in something.
Believe in something.
Believe in something that's bigger than you.
Call us up at 323-293-3375, 323-293-3375. So, yeah, you're dealing with something, and you're not alone. And I think people always think that they're alone, and you're not.
Yes.
You're not alone. People go through this stuff. People have been going through this stuff forever.
Exactly.
And it's a matter of you saying, hey, I saw a commercial the other day. the other day, and it said just ask for help.
Right.
I don't know if you saw that. I don't have
I didn't see
cable,
it yet.
but so I have
don't
the
either.
antenna. So it was like one of the basic things. So it said like ask for help.
Right.
You need to ask for help.
Exactly.
And the people who are going to help you, they're going to help you. Did anybody help you during that time?
I have so many people pouring into me that I don't even know how to say just thank you. It's not even a big enough word, for some of the outcry of help that we have so many new families. I tell my kids that, oh, that's our grief family. Oh, that's our military family. Oh, that's Dad's extended family. Those are his coworkers. That's our other family, and they understand what I'm trying to say to them.
Right.
Because we'll really have a talk. And I sent my son this year. This was his first time going to camp without me, and I sent him.
Now, how old is he?
He just turned 10, actually, like a week ago. But I sent him to Comfort Zone camp, and that's a grief camp, and they have that camp for kids who lost a parent.
Really? Mm-hmm. What's the name of it again?
It's called Comfort Zone, and they have so many. They also have Camp Aaron. And because I donated my husband's organs, so his eyes are in 2 different people.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and his tissue are in over 20 people who were cancer patients.
That's a blessing.
Yeah, it is, and that to me was like starting a legacy. So actually I'm becoming a One Legacy ambassador, and One Legacy is the company where you donate the organs. So One Legacy also has a camp.
So let me ask you a question. So, not to get too graphic, but he was brain. Was it brain dead, or is that?
I mean, he was
because the organs were still.
You know what? The organs were still vital, but it was he was totally shut down. Everything. Okay. So it's not like we had to pull any plugs or anything like that. He was totally gone. But
I think that's amazing that you're able to give him. His eyes are in 2 different people.
Right. Yeah.
His tissue is in 20 other people.
Right.
That's called life.
Right, it is.
And it's
it
called
really
give it like it's recycling. Like
right.
That's like amazing. It's almost poetic, right?
Right, it is. And you know what? We talked about it before because he used to always do the donor for his ID, and I used to argue with him like, what if what if it was a chance at life and they just took it because they need your heart?
Yeah.
And he made me understand if we have to think this hard about it, it's probably not even right.
Right.
Yeah. And when it came down to it, I said, well, I'll call and give his parents the option, but I'm for it because this is what he wanted. So like when his mom was saying like, I don't know, so she said that she would see what his dad said, and once his dad was like, just tell her I was like, okay, I'm gonna run with that. Right. Even if it was a hesitant, I'm gonna run with that.
But that's what he wanted, though.
Right. And I thought it was a perfect opportunity for it to never be in vain, and to kind of keep it alive a little bit. Just even an inkling of hope that, because I mean, it's a possibility that the recipient might not take it. Their body might not take it.
Might reject it. Yeah.
Right. But I said it was some inkling of hope that he might live in someone else.
And he is. And his legacy is living on through your kids and through his actual tissue and organs. And that's amazing.
I think so too.
That's amazing. What was one of the hardest things that you had to go through with friends and family doing? Because you said you had a lot of outpouring of friends and family. Did you have ever a moment where people just weren't there, or where you did feel alone?
Well, you know what? In the beginning, I did. I mean, I still kind of feel alone sometimes because it's been a year. We're tapping into our 2nd year now. Right. In December, we'll hit that anniversary date. And I'll just have to deal with it when that day comes. And every holiday that comes, it's like a new holiday that we don't have him here. But I kind of embrace those things now with my kids, so we don't kind of sweep it under the rug. So we'll still celebrate him. I have them write letters to him still, and I just put them in the envelope, and we'll refresh and look at those again sometimes. And for his birthday, we let up balloons, and I had them tape some of their pictures to the balloons, and so we'll still eat what his favorite dishes are, and we'll talk about it, and we just use them as opportunities. And what I did now is my whole thing is to create new memories. Right. So I make sure that we vacation at least 2 times a year.
Oh, good.
And I try to celebrate those dates with more family. And the interesting thing is, like, the month before he passed, we did a lot of recreational activities. So like around that time, I try to do those same activities with the kids to keep it, to keep it open. So we did like this boat ride. So we did the holiday boat ride in Newport Beach. So we're doing it again, but now we're going to do it in July.
Oh, good.
And like we went to Vegas and we did some stuff. So I took my kids to Vegas 3 times now. I'm tired of Vegas now. But
well, that's good. So you're teaching them how to gamble early. No, I'm just
no. You crazy. No, we went to NASCAR. We went to Monster Jam. We actually do big, try to do big things. But
NASCAR? Y'all like NASCAR? Well, he was a racer, huh?
Well,
I mean, he liked the cars and stuff like that.
He just like adventurous stuff. But, and my son into like anything transportation wise, he's on it. But
how long were you guys together?
12 years.
12 years is a long time.
And we met in college, so yeah.
Well, look at it like this. I can't get a date. So the fact that you guys had 12 years together is a beautiful thing.
It's coming.
It's a beautiful thing, and it's one of those things. And you look at your pictures on Facebook, and you just see the beautiful memories that you all had, and you still have them. Right. And his legacy is still living on.
That's true.
Through other people.
Right.
You have a book, Moments in Time, and I want you to read. I don't want to read your words.
Okay.
So I want you to find something in there. She has a book, Moments in Time. Tell them they can go on Amazon.
Yeah.
And find. She's going to read a poem out of her book, Moments in Time.
Okay, so my absolute favorite poem in this particular book is called The Candle. And it kind of represents how I was feeling one night at 4 o'clock in the morning when I was really feeling alone. And I said that the only thing that I really had was God and my pen.
Okay.
There is a candle that will always flicker at the very mention of your name. The shadows sometimes come together to create a tall image of your strong physique. I say things and anticipate your response in my mind, and I laugh the way we once laughed together. I'm sure that you are still here. You may become frustrated as I sniff at your shirts, lie on your side of the bed, and use your things. These are my ways of keeping you close. I know you are still pressured to use them as you have transitioned to the other side. The light that flickers in the day often glows in the night. That is when I need you most. I can hear you asking me what's for dinner, planning to go to the gym, and forcing yourself to get up 2 hours early to go running. I still hear you calling for me to see a funny video or listen to a silly story while we are watching our favorite shows and discussing our day. The candle never goes out. There are so many distant, constant reminders that I must face daily. The faces of our children speak volumes, as I can see your eyes staring back at me in their small faces. Different shades and ages of the father who enjoys Sundays in front of the TV set while talking football stats and hollering plays. The father who on weekends would plan a family outing and surprise the kids with a prepared dinner and a movie, or lunch at a buffet followed by a good run later. The light never dims as your voice still echoes throughout our home. I can remember the day that we were in escrow, how you claimed it was only the beginning for us. This would be our first home. That we would have more. It was a testament of hard work and faith. We both knew that all that we were challenged with, we made it together. The glow in our room, it seems that the room widens with this illuminating brightness. When I feel alone is the only time that I feel this sort of glow, as it bounces off the walls. It's a comfort that creates more quiet. This glow allows me to speak freely and look around. It's a dominant glow that helps me recognize that we have shared what we shared more than ever. I shall raise a glass and celebrate the life of the candle that will always remain lit.
Snap, snap, snap. Give us one more.
Okay.
This is from her book, Moments in Time. I don't like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. You guys got a house. Where y'all live?
You gonna come?
Y'all bought a house in L.A.
Yeah, I'm gonna invite you over when I have my little cookout.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely will be there. But while she's finding one for her. You have one now?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna read you "Aren't I Woman?" because this one I was feeling some kind of way.
All right.
Aren't I woman, strong yet fragile, made from God, just as all mankind? I die when I give birth to humanity, forever caring and nurturing those around me. Aren't I woman, with the ability to sense your body language, read your expressions, and connect to you mentally? My intuitive nature makes me a psychic, yet my naive innocence gives me appeal. You can notice me in a dark room. I carry the burdens of others, but I never relate the baggage of my own past. Aren't I woman with curves out of this world? My dreams go beyond the minds of anyone who is limited with the belief that I would discount my journey because of my gender, when I, in fact, seek to go further because my determination will not allow my mind to comprehend giving up. Aren't I a woman seeking the reduction in oppression that poses a threat to my family, to our growth, yet I cry tears of joy as I climb out of the madness, fighting those who pretend and with systematic structure they intend to keep my children down. Aren't I woman, mother of many and owner of none? I am Mother Africa, my horn is great, can you hear my soul? My intuition leads me to many nations, collecting my offspring to remind them where they originated. I only know love. For my awareness often causes me to fear the one thing that can divide my babies from one another. For even Satan had to ask God for permission to touch Job. My motherly instincts have led me to touch the faces of my enemies and allow them to understand what my fears are. Aren't I a woman, strong with a beating heart, a warm hand and a heavy bosom? Aren't I the nurse who healed your wounds and cared for your bruises? Aren't I the lawyer that was allowed to represent you and to stand before the judge when you were locked away, hidden and afraid? Aren't I woman, searching in the darkness, wandering with a limited light source? Beaten and battered, I make my way down a path because I am sure the journey will not end this way. I am still woman as I proceed to take my seat. I sit across the table of the Heavenly Father and I answer when He calls out to me. I heard my name and all that I represent, a strong woman.
Wow. So you have been, that was snapped. So you pretty much focus everything in writing, huh? You've been doing that for the past.
You know what? Yeah.
That's
yeah,
good.
It was my only freedom growing up. And it wasn't until I shared my journal in 6th grade that I realized the power of some of the words that were in that journal.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah.
And they're powerful for you as a person, going
Right.
back and reading and letting things go. And
Exactly.
when you put them in a book, they're powerful for other people.
Thank you.
That's awesome. You know, we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
I want to be a part of Drew Hill. I love Drew Hill. All right. And we're back. Feeling friends. I'm the new Cisco. No, I'm just kidding. We're here with Andrea Walker Williamson, and I just got a text message from Tiffany Littlejohn who says your strength is amazing.
I appreciate that. Thank
We
you.
love you, Tiffany. Thank you so much for listening to us.
Yes.
So now you're a single mother.
Yes.
So what is the strength in being a single mother?
Oh, my God.
Let's talk about that.
You know what? I always said I would never be a single mom. I would always tell him I would knock you out if you think that.
Sorry.
I know, right? Right, but oh my God, it is. It's such a blessing, but it's like, oh my
It's
God,
hard, right?
It is not easy, but you know, nothing good is easy,
Right.
But it is something else because my kids try the mess out of me now. Yeah.
Do you have to knock them out?
Oh my God, I have to. You know what? I just started back working out to show my son.
Because you look like Tina Turner
No.
up in
Oh
here.
my
She's like real fit, y'all. We don't have the cameras on, but you're like super fit and stuff.
Oh my God, no, I appreciate that. No, I had to show because my 10-year-old, he's so tall. You know, he's so tall and he's just growing like a tree. And he's past my shoulder now. And the dude, he just tries to.
She said the dude.
Yeah, the little dude. I have to. Really?
You have to like beat. You have
Oh
to show
my
him.
God, yeah. And
I was bigger than my mom, and she had to punch me.
Man, I
like
have
a whole bunch of times.
I pick him up. I have to hold him up in the air. Sometimes I'll move furniture just so he could see. And when I broke my trash can, because one day he tried to run for me, and I had to corner him.
Oh,
I'm
Lord.
like, little boy, you lucky, you my kid.
Right.
And so I just realized that women are much stronger than we know. We even think we are to the magnitude. This one guy, I was visiting a church. It was Dietrich Haddon's church. And sometimes I go to multiple services. My kids would be like, this is the third church today, Mama.
How much Jesus do we need?
But I be telling
That's
them.
the next book. Mama, how much Jesus do we need?
Right? But I tell them, we not going for God today. We going for me.
Right, exactly,
I need this to lead into the week because y'all something else. So I be telling them, listen, I make my son go to the altar. I'm like, go.
Take your ass to the altar.
You need to go right now. Right now. And then you see the old people be like, listen to your mama, boy.
Right, exactly.
Come on. We don't even know her, but come on. So, yeah.
I remember I got in trouble one time in school. Come on, baby, go to the altar. Talk about you need to go to the altar now. I ain't going to the altar. I ain't do nothing. I just got suspended.
I just got suspended.
I just got right.
Exactly.
Well, call us up at 323-293-3375. So, where do you get your strength from? I know you said faith in God, but like, where does it really in your kids? But for somebody, let's switch up the question. For somebody who's struggling to find strength,
You know what?
What do they need to do? How do they find that? You may not have the answer, but what do you
But you know
suggest?
what? Other people will help you through, but you have to be open enough. Like you have to be honest with yourself, and just trust that whether they accept who you are with no apologies, you are who you are with all your mess, all your bags, you know. And then you can start to release some of those bags once you are honest about having those bags in the first place. And you'll be surprised where that help comes from.
Right.
I remember when I took my kids out of school for the rest of the semester before the holidays, and we came back in January, and the first thing is that the lady in the front, the secretary that always is the one on your phone telling you what the announcements are, she said, come in here. And I'm real to myself, so I was like, why? You know? And she wanted to pray with me. And I was like, she want to pray with me? Oh my God. And she was telling me that she actually had to bury 2 husbands and she's on her 3rd marriage.
Wow.
And she said that they died almost 10 years apart from each other.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, how did you start over? Because that was, you know.
What, is she an older lady?
She's an older lady.
Okay.
But
well, she needs to go sit down somewhere.
Right. I know, right?
If you ever seen the movie Ease by You, y'all need to stay away from this lady. What is her name?
God, you better knock it off. Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
You a mess.
Everybody some light to this.
You a mess.
What's her name?
I ain't telling you her name now. You a mess.
I'm sorry, but go ahead and finish. But yeah, no, she prayed for you.
But you know what? The nuggets that she gave me for life, it wasn't even about dealing with the woes of woe is me, now I have these kids and I'm by myself in this house and now it's quiet and whatnot. It was, she told me all the things I was gonna have to deal with. And she said, no matter what age you are, these things are coming because he's gone now. But she said, you gonna fight because initially you were put here to fight. You came in the world fighting. Nobody comes into the world smiling. Everybody comes in crying or fighting. Everything you need is already in you. You don't search for something that's already there. And all the nuggets that she gave me, I was just like, that was for me.
Wow,
you know?
that's really good.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know
everything
what?
you need is all.
That's
my mother tells me that all the time. Everything you need is always in you. What does that mean? It ain't in my bank account though.
Right.
I need it in my bank account, not in me. But you have everything in you.
But you know what? You don't understand. You know, the thing is that you hear all of this stuff is not new, right? You've already heard it before.
Ain't nothing new under the sun.
Right. But when you're going through something, that's when it goes into perspective.
Right.
But you would never appreciate the sun if you never had the rain. You get what I'm saying? So it's like of course we have these casualties, and sometimes we'll give the enemy too much credit because we like, oh, the devil busy today. But sometimes God is working for your good in the end. Because on the flip side, all the stuff that was going against me, and I mean, it was some crazy stuff. I even thought, I've been in my job for over 8 years. I really thought I could go out and come back in, whatever. No, they cashed out my vacation time, my sick time. I got my final little check, and I couldn't reach HR.
And they let you go.
They basically was like, are you going to come back? I got a packet saying you going to either do sick leave and come back, or you going you're going to do stress leave, you're going to do something, but you got to figure this out because we need a body in here. And I even went and tried to do part-time, but it wasn't God's will. You know, because I had been praying for God to allow me
because you didn't have the strength to go back to work. Is that what it was?
You know what? It wasn't even that. It was that now I had to deal with my kids, or they was gonna have some problems later. You know, and
your kids are important.
And
get a job.
You know what? Right after the new year, my mom lost her boyfriend. And
passed away.
Yeah, he passed away. He actually was over by USC, and he caught some stray bullets.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's how we brought in our new year.
Wow.
So yeah, and we
that's a lot.
Yeah, so we had the 3 deaths to deal with.
And so she pretty much had to learn from your strength.
Well, you know what? In the beginning, before she had to deal with that, her whole thing was, you're gonna get through this. You need to, you need to kind of get over it, because this is, you gotta be able to live, and you're not living right now. And
did she take that advice?
Oh my God!
I mean, what was she? Was she a wreck?
It humbled her.
Yeah.
It humbled her, because she knows that you can't. It's no such thing as get over it when you're going through something.
Yeah.
You're gonna go through it, and you're going to deal with it every day. But it's no getting over it.
And I don't know why people would even say something like that.
You know, I don't think she meant it the way I think she meant it.
And you know, mothers are different in where their delivery is so different. It's like,
so
be
hard.
nice. Jesus Christ.
My mama don't know how to be nice, except to her grandkids.
You need to write a book about
different.
mama. You need to learn how to be nice to me.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I already know.
They don't even write. She gonna be like, this ain't for me.
Right.
Somebody else's mama.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, not me.
And I know my mom was listening. Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Right. I need to let my mama listen to this.
Right. But that's true though. Yeah. So you know to be nice to your kids.
Not when they get older. When they stop being so rude.
Right. Yeah.
But when they get older, so they understand.
Yeah. So you have two books that we want people to know: Mama, Who Is Jesus, and Moments in Time. You guys go online. Tell them where to go again.
Yeah, so you can go on Amazon or Barnes and Nobles. If you're local, you could also pick it up at the SO1 bookstore. Go to any of the Word of Life bookstore locations as well, or at the Christian bookstore right on Overland in Slauson.
Okay, that's Overland and Slauson is across from La Louisiana.
Yes, it is.
What's the name of it?
It's
that's not a Christian bookstore, is it? That's
it's a Christian bookstore right off that corner.
Oh.
By where the little
okay, I'm thinking about the hotel shop across the street where the Incense and Shea Butter is. What's the name of that place? Simply Wholesome. Okay, yeah,
it's in there too.
Okay, I like that place. They got some expensive salads though.
They do,
like,
but
geez,
it's organic though.
Supposedly,
yeah.
No, I love that. I love them.
It's no pesticide.
Supposedly. So what's next for you?
So
I know what's like, Lord, I hope they ain't listening.
He's a mess. I know.
What's next for you?
I do workshops. I do a lot of. I became a grief speaker.
Wow!
It's crazy.
Well, look,
that's even the title.
Yeah.
Right, and it definitely is a beautiful thing. But a lot of the workshops are free in the community only because I know that we don't hear it enough. We don't hear that there's help out there, there's support out there, and I'm doing some publishing boot camps. So look out for that.
I would love to come.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna actually come back to the show with some flyers and everything.
Yeah, definitely.
And let you know. But yeah, I think that'd be dope. But I just stay as busy as possible with the arts, just to kind of keep me going. And this is kind of how I pour into people, and whatever the message is that needs to be delivered, it comes out.
So final thoughts with grief and loss. I'm going through grief and loss.
Right.
I don't know what to do. Where do I turn?
Do
I call 211? Do we call?
Well, you know what? They have this. The first grief camp that we did was called New Hope. It's Camp New Hope, and they're out of Long Beach. And they not only do they do regular support services, but they also have the camps for the families. They host the families for free, and they give you a weekend, and you go through these workshops, and it's just a little bit of everything. And that for me was a turning point to show me that it wasn't an isolated event, because I was thinking, I'm young, I'm now widowed, and the title itself is something strong. When you just think widowed means something so much bigger, it's dealing with people who are now suffering, know. And then I have these kids who are also hurting, who I can't pour into, and I just felt like it was only me going through that. And when I went to Camp New Hope, God placed me in a room with two other women who just lost husbands at 36 years old.
Wow.
They also had 3 kids.
Wow.
And all the stigmas that I believed about it, everything that I associated with his death, he knocked them down that first day. And I was so mad about it. I was so mad. And I went to the director and I was like, why did you do that? And, and it was amazing because he kept saying, I can't control that. The system put you guys in that room. Like, what's the problem? And I just was like, so God did that?
Yeah.
Heck no, and I was just mad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it was like it was so amazing because all of these families almost all had kids around my kids, and they're all different ages, but they had someone who was now like a new friend or a new family member who dealt with the same thing, and they knew why, and they were able to kind of move forward, a little bit faster, and then it helped us to learn about all these other programs. So I learned about Camp Aaron. I just found out about all these other places. Comfort Zone Camp, I never even heard of all of those things. And then after we came back, that's when I started to go into the One Legacies support groups, and it was really for my kids. I kept saying, just deal with them, don't deal with me.
Right.
I don't want to talk to nobody today. But when I started
pushing it off, instead of dealing with yourself,
right? But and it's a fear. Dealing with yourself is such a fear because you're stuck with you all day. You don't get to
all day, every
leave.
day.
You know, and I just was like, I don't need no help. I don't have a problem. You know, and I don't want people reading me. I don't want people judging me.
Right.
And it's such a stigma with help and hope. Like they're so close, but they're so different. And once I started to have an inkling of hope, that's when everything shifted for me. But all I want to say is that if you need something, if you need help or somebody to talk to, or just someone to understand, go talk to somebody. Yeah, whether it's at a church or I talk better to people I don't know rather than people that I do know.
Really.
And I'm sure that's probably for a lot of other people as well, but you don't think about it. And I would say it's so many things out here that are free, and they don't even have the bodies, for them to keep it going sometimes, right? And that's the scary part because they might not be around for other people who need them if you don't tap into them and plug into them now, because all of these places are private institutions that are funded by donors and people who are also,
and they just need the bodies there,
right? And that's all they need. And that's all they really need. And now it's like I learned so many ways to cope with depression and all that. I used to have dreams about how I would kill myself.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to, and when one day.
And this is after your husband passed,
right?
Yeah, really?
It was during that dark time. We had lost the 3 people, and my cousin, her grandmother was also dying, and she had lost like 50 pounds, and I couldn't even go, and I felt bad I couldn't be there for my cousin, but I said I'm not going to no more funerals, and I just was like, why is this happening? Why are we under attack? And I just felt like we were under attack, but I felt like he was trying to get our attention. But nobody was paying attention. Nobody was paying attention. Everybody was dealing with their own way. And instead of us coming together and loving on each other, everybody was going their own way.
Wow. That's deep.
Yeah. And it was very scary. And I just was like, I don't even need to be here.
Can people reach out to you on Facebook?
They can.
If they tell them your Facebook page and everything, Twitter.
You know what? You can Create Noise is the number one point of contact for me.
Create Noise.
Right, Create Noise. And you can find me under anything, under the book titles as well. And then Andrea W. Williamson on Twitter or Instagram as well.
I'm here with my friend Andrea Walker Williamson. Moments in Time. Mama, who is Jesus? Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this.
This is Phil and Friends, sponsored by The Plug Report. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm here every Sunday from 6 p.m. to 7, and I look forward to hanging out with you guys next week. Thank you so much, friend.
Thank you.
All right.